Okay, so hey everyone. This is just a quick 2020 year in review video and audio for those listening on apps for Hermitix podcast. It's the first time I've done one of these, but this year was obviously completely different, and I sort of have a lot of thank yous to say in a certain sense. So this won't be too long. But basically, I started Hermitix in October of 2018 as a hobby for various reasons, which will probably come up time and time again on other podcasts, so I won't really bore you with that. And I ran it then as a hobby for just over 14 months. And in that time, I got it from roughly 500 to 2,000 views a month to 5,000 in that time, which is fairly good for a new podcast. And then Corona hit this year, back when I was a joiner, a carpenter, and I lost that job and asked my audience whether or not they would support me, and they did. So I've now, thanks to everyone, and thank you everyone, I've been running Hermitix full time for 9 months now, getting on for 10 months, and I looked at the statistics just the other day. And in that time, in those 9 months, it's gone from 5,000 views per month to 50,000 views per month. And it's still growing at that same rate, really. So in that time, I've managed from the full-time work to get an increase of 10 times in viewership, in interest, in subs, and in the amount of people who are now able to potentially access these hidden figures that I talk about. So, I consider that great. And I want to make some assurances for the future because of that, because it is getting bigger, it's getting a bit more well known. The quality will always be the same. That's my number one priority, is to make sure that I fully research all the videos, all the interviews, research the interviewers, read their works in full, and, keep that audio the same quality, if not get it a bit better in the new year. I'm hoping to get a new setup, and the things that are going to remain, the interviews will always be free. The SARE series will continue, even though that's had a bit of a stop, because I'm trying to find some new academics who can talk to me about SARE, and Christmas has been super busy. There will actually be, in December, there's going to be 9 episodes, so there's going to be two extra Christmas specials and one New Year's special, and there's been a couple of weeks with double episodes, and hopefully there'll be more double episode weeks in the new year as well. The Deleuze series sort of got off to a false start, but that's still continuing. The difference between Deleuze and SARE is that Deleuze is far more difficult to grasp, so I want to make sure those episodes are correct in their research, and I get good scholars on for that. The monologues have just started, but of course they started just before December, when I had a lot of work to do these specials. But they will continue, so I'll continue with the Austrian economics one. Part 2 will be coming out just for patrons for that soon. Now, the main reason for this video is, none of this would have been possible. I know this is super cliche, but literally none of this would have been possible without the listeners. So, seriously, thank you, because it's now my full-time job. I love doing it. I love talking to you guys all the time, and I love what I do, and I like to think I'm good at what I do. So I'm sort of making this video as a thank you, but I'm also making this video for, admittedly, some might say selfish reasons in a way, in that I try keep the mentions of support at a minimum. On the main podcast, on apps, there's no adverts that I put in. So if you hear adverts on the podcast app, they're not from me. I don't put them in on the audio at all, and I never would accept ad deals or sponsorship deals. It's just not my bag. I don't want to, I don't want to fluff out my podcasts with things I really don't care about. And I also don't want to ever add filler or an intro or an outro or any of that rubbish. I want you to just listen to the content. There is adverts on YouTube, but ultimately I think from the money that I get from that, I'm assuming that most of my subscribers use AdBlock, because I don't really get much from that at all. And unfortunately, I understand that YouTube are going to add adverts to any videos now without permission of the content creator anyway. So, that's like a non-thing. So really what I've done this video for, in a certain sense, is one, to say, seriously thank you all. And big thank you to the people who are paying subs, because that keeps it going. But another reason, obviously, is that many people come to the podcast either through apps or hearsay, and they don't see the links, they don't see the social media updates, and they might not follow my main account on Twitter, which basically means that they only really hear that one very quick, could you sub on Patreon? So, this is, I'll try to keep this quick as well, but there's, if you have enjoyed some of the, large amount of content that I've produced this year, then, please think about subscribing or supporting in some way. And it doesn't have to be monetary support. Obviously there is Patreon, and, the smallest amount there is $5 a month, which I think that's super affordable, and it really does go a seriously long way. It just means I'm able to make more content, and do better research, more research, contact more people, and basically have more time to produce more and retain the same amount of quality. There is that. There is the main subscribe thing that I've set up via hermitix.net, and those links will be in the description. There's also merchandise via Teespring, so if you're looking for something for Christmas, it should get you in time. That'll be in the links as well. But there's also just subscribing, sharing it, liking it. And the thing that goes the furthest, really, is people who just do a tweet saying how much they've enjoyed the podcast. Reviews as well on, Apple Podcasts or these podcast sites. As the saying goes, the algorithms really are fickle. So anything like that goes way further than you'd think. So, any support like that, I would be seriously helpful. So if you've always listened to this via Spotify or a podcast app or Apple Podcasts, and you've always enjoyed what you've heard, please do think about taking the time just to quickly support in any way you can. I'd be super appreciative of it. Going into the new year, it will just be more of the same. Hopefully just more of the same. I plan to just do this indefinitely, as long as the support is there. I'm having a super fun time. I love chatting to you guys about it all. Will there be anything new? There probably will be. There'll be more monologues. There should be a new course that I'm working on. For those that have subbed to the Patreon and get the blog posts, there should be working on a book from those blog posts with more stuff in it, which is actually new. But that will be free to all subscribers as well, paid subscribers. So, there's a lot in the works, but the interviews will remain, the SARE series, the Deleuze series, the monologues, everything will still be there in the new year. So, this is all this video is about. It's just a review of 2020, just saying that basically I've gone from being unemployed to having a podcast which is currently sitting at around 50,000, 55,000 downloads a month. And that is thanks to every single one of you. So thanks very much. And yeah, keep listening, keep up with the feedback, and yeah, thank you. And I'll see you all in the new year for more and more content. And as always, any questions or feedback, there is the Discord. There is the feedback channel in the Discord. There is also the email, hermitixpodcast@protonmail.com. So thank you all so much for your support. And have a Merry Christmas, and have a Happy New Year, and I'll see you in 2021, hopefully for a less turbulent year.